My fellow world citizens, truth about war, and especially world wars. 55 million died during World War II, besides human sufferings, pollution, and debris. 10 million people of Bengal, eastern India, were starved to death exporting food for British soldiers. These are the facts often ignored by Western media, with constant reference to Jewish Holocaust and Nazi. As Israel, evangelical Christians, and most North American, as well as some European media, are provoking US to take unilateral action against Iran, following the self-proclaimed hegemonic success with illegal invasion of Iraq. Against the will of all citizens, we must not ignore that unjust 21st century wars in the name of virtual war on terror may soon lead us all to World War III. We also must not forget that every country must respect UN resolutions, including Israel, which is the worst violator of UN resolutions since 1967, and USA, who has vetoed most resolutions for peace, citing Israel's security concern, while arming them to be one of the best air forces in the world. The immense military and civilian loss during and after World War II often gets buried under the constant reference to non-Semite European Jewish Holocaust and search for Nazis around the world. At least 55 million people died, 25 million of those military and 30 million civilians during World War II, along with 5 million plus Jewish, mostly ancient Semite Hebrews, which made Europe home following 70 AD persecution in and evictions from Israel. In addition to 10 plus million people of eastern India, once Bengal, were starved to death by cruel, dishonest British Prime Minister Winston Churchill by exporting all food for the Allied soldiers, creating massive artificial famine as real Holocaust, not reported by Western media. Former Soviet Union, USSR, suffered the most, with more than 13 million military and 7 million civilian deaths. China was the second, who suffered 3.5 million military and 10 million civilian deaths. Germany was the third, with 3.5 million military and 3.8 million civilian deaths. Poland lost 120,000 military and 5.3 million civilian. Japan lost 1.7 million military and 380,000 civilian. Yugoslavia lost 300,000 military and 1.3 million civilian. Romania lost 200,000 military and 465,000 civilian. France lost 250,000 military and 360,000 civilians. British Empire and Commonwealth lost 452,000 military and 60,000 civilian. Italy lost 330,000 military and 80,000 civilian. Hungary lost 120,000 military and 280,000 civilian. Czechoslovakia lost 10,000 military and 330,000 civilian. Of the 405,399 Americans that lost their lives during World War II, there were 78,976 missing in action. It was the Americans who suffered the least number of civilian deaths. A rough consensus has been reached on the total cost of the World War II. In terms of money spent, it has been put at more than $1 trillion. Just imagine what a better place the world could have been if the money was spent for overall human welfare instead of enriching the monarchist supremacist desires. The true cost of the war is still unknown. The Soviet government calculated that the USSR lost 30% of its national wealth, while Nazi Zionist executions and looting were of incalculable amounts in the occupied countries. The full cost to Japan has been estimated at $562 billion. In Germany, Allied bombing and shelling had produced 4 billion cubic meter, 5 billion cubic yard of rubble. Of course, this does not include the pollution and associated long-term harm done to the world atmosphere and weather. Also, this does not include the overall loss of animals, birds, forests, and plants. Iraq was invaded illegally, despite it obeyed most UN resolutions as well as accepted independent UN inspectors from countries including Britain and US. Knowing well, some of them were covert CIA British Mossad agents whose only aims were to destroy Iraq and its ancient culture, even manufacturing and spreading lies. Finally, we must not ignore that Israel, not Iraq, Iran, or North Korea, is the most UN resolutions violator. Even denying UN inspections during Jenin massacre and overall destruction of the UN-supervised land of democratic Palestine. Israel violated UN resolutions since 1967, challenging its authority and ignoring all international call for peace. The worst is that Israel is now provoking non-democratically installed newcons-dominated then George Bush and now US administration to attack Iraq unilaterally based on suspected fear from Iran's much-needed domestic nuclear power generation. The world has lost a lot since 9/11 without an open public investigation. Ironically, the European Union is now joining hands with the new Axis alliance to sanction against Iran, while disrespecting the democratically elected government of Palestine and ignoring daily atrocities and ongoing genocide by the Israeli military. This kind of crusading alliance only takes the world closer and closer to the ultimate nuclear war, Armageddon, as envisioned by most evangelical Christians. Religion evolves from evolved culture, maintaining harmony among economics, politics, and celebrations. Unfortunately, all talk about separation of church and state in USA only helped evangelical, Zionist Christian soldiers take over of US administration and most government decision-making, incapacitating the voice of true Jesus, peace-loving Christians, leading to world domination for military supremacy. The most worrying part of the newcons, Zionists, and Evangelist alliance, which started with Norwegian-Swedish alliance and mutated through world wars as the NATO alliance, is that it does not have any obedience or patriotism to a country or nation, but the alliance whose ultimate goal is to galvanize aristocratic rule of few over the masses of the world with extreme secrecy and democratic hypocrisy. Related article, New Pearl Harbor. Back to the article. There is every cause for celebration, united efforts towards one world, but all citizens must stand tall to ensure that world is not ruled from underworld, with mafia-like covert intelligence agencies, Bilderberg-like secret aristocratic constitutional monarchy, and Vatican-like intruding evangelical supremacy, whose only aim is to continue oligarchy. My fellow world citizens, love is the ultimate security, which does not require expensive, idle, mischievous covert intelligence, violent military, destructive defense industries, and divisive ideologies. God bless our world towards universal loving consciousness for peace and harmony.